as we hand over the stage to 6 specialists representing logistics service providers in the TAPA EMEA family. And what a time it is to be in the transport and logistics industry. Let's hear what they've got to say about what it's like to be on the front line of today's supply chains as we welcome on stage Dideke van Oostrum de Lely, Director of International Transport Jan de Lely, Jason Breakwell, Group Commercial Director for Wallenborn, Harry Hughes, Managing Director, FET Logistics, Kodruts Martineau, Security and IT Manager for VO Trans Group, Holger Hoofen, Key Account Manager, Hutter Spedition and Logistic, and Kieran O'Sullivan, Senior Manager, Transport, Security and Operations, ATC Logistics. And finally, I'd also like to welcome back to the bar and to field your questions on the app, so please do start sending them in straight away. Torsten Newman. Thank you to you all. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for joining us. I'll let you get the bottles open and start lubricating. Torsten, thank you also for joining us. I know you'll be fielding questions for us. So perhaps we could just start, as we've got such a great depth of a panel, with coming down the line, and maybe you could all just introduce yourselves very briefly, a little about your organisation and the sort of primary challenges that you're facing. Dideke, I'll start with you.
Good afternoon.
If you just grab the microphone, that's it. You have to share that between you. Thank you. It's on, yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Dideke van Oostrum de Lely from International Transport Company Jan de Lely BV, a Dutch company who exists already for more than 100 years. We have a fleet of 100 trucks and 120 trailers, and all specialized in high value, and the equipment is all on V1 status, TSR1.
Lovely, thank you, Dideke.
Hi, I'm Jason Breakwell. I'm the Commercial Director for Wallenborn Group. I've got some history with TAPA. Yeah, indeed. The challenges that we face, maybe we'll get into it today, recruiting, retaining drivers, too much legislation, disconnections, disjointedness across the whole supply chain. And the reason that I've been very supportive of TAPA for more than 20 years is because I think that TAPA makes a difference in all those areas.
My name's Harry Hughes. I'm the Managing Director of FET Logistics based at Heathrow. We specialise in dedicated pharmaceutical movements. I've been involved with TAPA for a long time as part of the Woolies.
Thank you. Kodruts.
Hello, my name is Kodruts Martineau. I'm the Security and IT Manager of VO Trans Group, which is a Romanian company specialized in high-value transport. Been a member of TAPA, I've been for 15 years. We've been the 13th TSR1 certified company back in 2014, I guess. Challenges, always parking, drivers, and now cyber.
Holger.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Holger Hoofen. I'm Sales Manager and Key Account Manager at Hutter Spedition and Logistics, a German transport and logistics company. We own 30 trucks and we specialize in temperature-controlled transport, mainly pharmaceuticals, foodstuff, and we have been members of the TAPA organization for 4 years now. And yeah, our challenges, like the others, it's parkings, it's drivers, and of course, cybersecurity is becoming more and more a topic.
Kieran.
Hello, how are you? My name is Kieran O'Sullivan. I'm Senior Transport Operations Manager with ATC Logistics based in Dublin. I'm 7 years in operations with ATC. We are a computer transport company, high value. Some of our biggest challenges are driver recruitment, driver retention, and security parking. So I think we're all agreed that these are all challenges for all of us.
Well, let's start covering some of those issues then. I think the three main ones seem to have been parking, drivers, recruitment, retention, and also cyber security. So maybe we start with the parking. Harry, how are parking challenges across Europe affecting transport security and driver safety, especially in high-risk areas? And are there any areas that stand out as an area of concern?
Yeah, obviously, the Calais section is an area for concern when we're coming back into the UK because of the migrant situation. But recently, obviously, we use TIS for parking through the parking platforms like Travis, Snap are all available on there. And there was a whole load, Marcus just mentioned, come on last week when I logged onto TIS. We noticed a whole more parking places across Spain. Still seems to be a shortfall in Italy of parking places, though. But I know that the team are doing all they can to certify more parking spots.
Any other areas that are of particular concern for anyone else on the panel? Holger.
Well, yeah, of course, like you said, you know, parking is a topic. And as we've heard also before from Felipe, was his name, I think, from the European Commission, that there is not one single platform where you can generate all the information of all the parkings that are available. You know, like you said, there are several apps and providers if it's Bosch or Travis, and that makes it even more complex. Yeah, so what I would really like to see, and what I have been looking for since we have joined the TAPA, is to find parkings on a platform at one glance, yeah, without looking at different kinds of apps. So that would be really something of benefit for us, I think.
Jason, come to you.
A few things. It was really good to have Philip Alexandru here this morning, and I think everybody needs to read the study, which will be published today, I think, because it seems like they've really gone into depth there. In addition to what Holger said, on the technology side, there are some fledgling kind of TripAdvisor types of sites that are starting to emerge, where drivers are rating parking places, not only for safety and security, so there's a lot of focus today on the two S's, but I think we should also look at the two C's, which is clean and comfortable parking, because we don't always need safety and security. We often just need somewhere that's pleasant to stay, and that's a big issue when we're trying to retain and recruit drivers. The second thing I'd like to say, an appeal to buyers of road freight, it's just my idea, in the way that when you're buying road freight, when we have to price it, we have to give you a base rate for the freight. We probably have to give separate rates for things like fuel, now CO2 taxes in Germany. I think that safe and secure parking should be a separate item as well. This way it doesn't get lost in negotiations, and the transport companies can ring fence that, they can take that and they can spend it on safe and secure parking. I think that could really turbocharge investments in more capacity.
Dideke, let me come to you. Did you want to add to that?
Yes, for sure. Secure parkings are for the drivers, of course, very important, especially with the V1 goods on it. And it must be clean, and also not also that. It must be also for the drivers nice to stay with. In our company, we are making the trips with all the secure parkings direct for the drivers, so that they not need to look at it or to make a reservation, because that will be done by the dispatchers. So that we are very sure that we have also place on that secure parkings.
Kodrits, let me come to you. What are the particular challenges that you view?
Okay, parking areas, we go all over Europe. So I don't think there's a particular specific region where you have a lack of parking areas, secured parking areas. It's all over, basically. Regarding comfort, for example, PSR has, apart for the security stuff, has comfort requirements integrated in the standards as well. So TAPA is trying to address this thing and to make parking areas more attractive to drivers. But on the other side, you have criminality and you have the risk, which is shifting all the time. Okay, yes, we know we have some hotspots which are for long years, south of Italy, Benelux area, whatever. But if you drop down to the regional stuff, you have risks with shift. So this week, a parking area is okay, and next week, you have an incident, 1 kilometer away, I don't know if you want to park in that respective area. So there's also a process where you need to have a very fast risk assessment, which is done, for example, we do it bi-weekly. We use some platforms, or also with the data from TIS, with the incidents. So we are able to recognize where the threats are and to avoid. We have the same process as DDK, where drivers are allocated parking areas by the planning team and make the bookings by the planning team. They don't decide by themselves where they park. But the idea is that, okay, TAPA is doing so much. We need also the community, the transport community, to handle, to push it. Philip was great, but we also need more from local authorities. Okay, EU is done a lot of it, but it's also done to national or local authorities to push that as well.
Let me just ask Holger about the risk management as well, because I wanted to ask you, how do you handle, and we've got a question, so we'll come there in a minute, and Kieran, then I'll come to you as well. Holger, how do you handle and how do you evaluate the risks for each route and the parkings? What are the sources of information for your analysis, and then how does that use that information?
Well, I think Torsten will be more than happy to hear that, but TIS has become a major tool for us for risk assessment, just as much as the parking spot information from various providers like Bosch Secure Truck Parking, for example, just to name one of them. This is where we take our main information about the security features of the individual parking places. This is how we pre-calculate the routes that the driver has to take. And of course, the stops within the driving hour limit. Yeah, this is also something that we have to consider. I was listening with interest again to Felipe this morning when he said that the target is to have a kind of network that within 150 kilometers of distance, there has got to be a parking or a secure parking. Considering 150 kilometers distance means 2.5, depending on traffic, up to 3 hours driving for the driver. Considering the legal driving time that he's allowed to have, that might kill his driving time and the next possible secure stop. So it is a target. It is nice to hear that there is an ambition to go to that parking network, but it has to be much closer, from my opinion.
Harry, before I go to Kieran, did you want to add anything? I thought I saw you nodding. In agreement.
Yeah, no, I agree. The 150 miles is 150 kilometres. Sorry, is too far for the drivers. Tachographs have been introduced in vans as well from 2026. So there's going to be a lot more need for parking on the roads, including the vans. So yeah, it's going to need a lot more infrastructure.
So Kieran, I wanted to ask you what kind of impacts the lack of secure parking is having on the supply chain security and the rising cargo crime as well.
Well, we're having a lot more thefts. There's a lot of unverified drivers parking in these secure parking. You know, it's not just a case of you go inside the gate and you think your shipment is safe. You know, there's a lot of instances where the driver does just walk around and checks the next morning and there's a seal broken or something is tampered with. You know, so I think we need to have drivers vetted and maybe instead of companies that are not TSO1 or TAPA approved parking in these locations, they should be maybe not allowed to park because there's a lot of instances where it's the driver next door that is tampering with our vehicles. So I think that needs to be clamped down on because it's becoming a high risk, high insurance costs. These are all problems for the transport sector.
Thank you, Kieran. Torsten, let me come to you to throw that question in.
Okay, so the first question, I would actually like to start also a competition for the panelists. When you give me the name who raised that question, you will get a bottle of gin. So, the question is, what is the percentage of cost for secure parking in the total rate of a single trip in average? Give me first a number, and if you give me a name, if you're the right name, you win a bottle of gin. What is the percentage of cost for secure parking in the total rate of a single trip in average?
It's about 5%. It does, but maybe 5%.
Okay,
But what is the cost of the parking as a percentage of the value of the goods in the truck?
That's a good one. I agree with you. That's the reason. What do you think? Who raised the question? It can only be a shipper. Come on. It must be a shipper. You know that. Think about it. You know him. You know him very. He's a very tall guy, to give you a hint. Very tall guy. So who is it? Maybe. I don't know. It's also possible. Yes, Noak van Herk. You're right. So he's the winner of a gin bottle. You got it. This is the right answer. Thank you. I have more questions.
Jason. Did you want to come to...
I have tons of questions already.
Come on, let's
but I
have a
think
few more
it's
then.
5%. Okay, so the next question, and we have a lot of questions already, but I think there's one question which is saying, does anybody at the panel offer parking on their own facilities for partners or even TAPA members?
Does anybody on the panel offer parking facilities for TAPA members? Or-
Parking on their own facilities for partners or even other TAPA members.
Yeah, Jason, you're nodding. Well, do you want to can you pick up the microphone? And...
Can, but it's only a yes answer.
Okay, yes, good. Does anybody else?
Yes.
Who does?
I did it. We did it already for some partners. Whenever they have, okay, people know me. We have a network, especially the V1 carriers. Whenever they have an issue, we get a call. Okay, can I park there? Yes. I need to inform the gate, give me the license plate. So probably Jason has the same process. So they definitely could call me anytime. I know that I could do the same with her and also other guys from the audience.
Yeah, that's by us the same.
Okay, excellent. Torsten, do you want
Okay,
to... Are there any more on parking?
I have tons of them.
Okay, all on parking.
No, not all on parking. I already
Any more on
combined all the parking stuff.
Okay.
That's the reason why we have a bar. Do you realize that? All the questions are coming to the bar. So I will a little bit reframe it. How do you see TAPA TSR1 level in the future? Is it still enough? Or do we need TAPA TSR1 plus? Or something similar? What is your view?
Holger.
Well, there is already a TAPA, TSR plus V1, whatever the individual industry is calling it. But that is, like I said, an individual extra on top of the TSR1. If you ask me if TAPA needs to have that as a standard, I think the TAPA TSR1 standard is going to change in future anyway, because the technical devices that make surveillance and monitoring and securing of trucks possible are developing day by day. And every time I come to the conference for the past 4 years, or go to other conferences, I see software companies developing, I see hardware companies developing new devices, new communication, etc., etc. So I think that the TSR1 standard will become more complex by the technical development of the securing and monitoring devices.
Would anybody else like to, Jason, add to that?
Just another short answer. I would say that as it is today, that it's a good model. I think it's high enough, and I think the options that are available in case of specific requirements or higher security requirements are perfect.
Okay, I think I have some insights on this because I'm a member of the standards working group within TAPA EMEA, which is a great collection. Okay. We are a group of people with a lot of expertise and experience within the logistics security supply chain. We have some awesome discussions. Sometimes it can get quite heated because some push for a certain measure, some push for another. We are in the process of discussing the next standard, which is 2026. Definitely it will change. It will improve. But you can only do so much because it's a global standard. So there are different challenges between the different regions within the world. So that's why we have the enhanced options. If you go for all the enhanced options, it's definitely a TSR plus, let's say. It's still not the V1 we are discussing, but probably will go higher or closer to that. So definitely TSR will change as technology is more and more available. We should use that because it's a tremendous tool, and okay, in the end, humans are the, let's say, the least reliable chain in the supply. So that's always like that.
I'd love to move on to talk a little bit about drivers, because you, most of all of you mentioned some challenges with recruitment, with retention. And Jason, I wanted to ask you first, and just to tie that together with the parking really, does the lack of decent, safe and secure facilities for your drivers have an impact on your organisation, on that?
I think it does on us all. So we all know that the average age of a truck driver is, well, I think half of truck drivers are over 55, aren't they? And only 5% of truck drivers are under 25. Only 4% of truck drivers are female, for sure. One of the things I have observed is that those drivers that are over 55 from a completely different generation, when times were more simple, they've lived through austerity, I would say, and they've become sensitized to the basic facilities or the lack of facilities that are available. Younger generation, they're just not interested in driving a truck if there isn't a safe, secure, clean and comfortable place for them to stay at night. We're not going to be able to get them into this industry.
Kieran, maybe I could ask you, what challenges are you seeing? What are your kind of main pinch points with drivers and retention, recruitment, and if anybody else wants to chip in after?
Just going back to the points we spoke about earlier, like it's making the job attractive for younger drivers to come into. You know, yes, we need to pay the right wage for them. You know, these drivers are sleeping out in the trucks night on night, week after week, depending on what it is. But also we need to get the buy-in from the services that are there for the drivers, you know, showers, restaurants. Like there's some places that aren't fit for humans, never mind drivers parking in them. But we're expecting our drivers to park here. You know, obviously we will tell them not to go to secure parking, but it is a big challenge. And you know, a lot of our drivers as well, they're at a certain age that, okay, in the next year or two, they're going to hit retirement age. Some will stay on an extra year or two, that's great. But there's no young drivers knocking on the door looking to come in for a job. And if you do, you kind of bite the hand off them, get them into a lorry and away you go. But definitely we need to make it more attractive, but we need to buy in from customers as well as TAPA to help with that.
And what about in terms of training? Because I've spoken to a couple of you, and it seems that there are some different positions on training. Jason, you were telling me earlier that the age is going to be dropping down to 18, which could be beneficial. But would you like to elaborate on kind of the challenges of getting drivers trained?
At the moment, it's a very technical job. I think it's underappreciated how technical and how challenging it is to be a truck driver today. So if we think about the supply chain, it's a lot easier to get into a gig economy job working in a fulfillment center or driving a van doing the final mile. Anybody can do that. It takes probably 6 months for a driver to become a truck driver in terms of CPC and HGV license. It's the equivalent of 4 months' salary that they have to spend on that. The reason I mentioned about lowering the age, the jury's out at the moment. I don't know if it's going to make a big difference, but what we think it means is that if we can capture people at 18 when they leave college, then they don't, by the time they're at 21 right now, they're probably on another path, they've got another career, and we can't get those people. If we can now get them at 18, and we can train them up, then we've got them for life. It's a good career.
Didika, what challenges are you facing with drivers, and what do you think potential solutions could be?
Yeah, for us it is the same as the other panels. We have also the older drivers, they're going with pension. And the younger guys, yeah, they want to be 1 or 2 nights away. We only do international transport, so there's a week for minimum. So that means they want to stay 1, 2 nights, and then they want with the family, or they want to do something with the children. And so we have also a challenge to get younger people in. That's really a big challenge.
And Harry, what about you, the challenge of getting younger people in? Is that also for you, or are you investing in younger people? Is there a risk there?
So we've taken the 3.5-ton van drivers and progressed the last 3 drivers we've trained in HGV. We've put them through the course and paid for it. But we've needed to put them on a contract to make sure they don't leave as soon as they've got their HGV training, because it's a massive cost to us, time-wise and financially. So.
And before we go back to Torsten for another question from the audience, is there something more that you feel that TAPA could be doing to support with this challenge? Holger.
Well, I think that becoming a truck driver, like any other job, it's a matter of image. Yeah, if you want to be an attractive employer today for whatever job, you have to be, don't get me wrong, sexy. Yeah, so to increase the attractiveness, the sexiness of becoming a truck driver, maybe there TAPA can support. Of course, we have the PSR standards, yeah, which offer good facilities, not only in terms of security. We heard it before. You know, there's showers, toilets, etc. So and shops for the drivers to go to. But it's also the image of becoming a truck driver, which is a challenge to show. TAPA is the association from the industry, for the industry, as Torsten always says. And we have many people in the conference yesterday and today from the industry. And also maybe there is a possibility to liaise and have some approaches together, yeah? So from the transport company side with the customer side, in combination with the TAPA as the global association to promote this kind of job. Why not?
Torsten, I'll come back to you. I don't know if you want to respond to anything as well that you're hearing on the panel, or provide another question from the chat.
I think looking at the young generation, give them an Instagram account and make them famous as the youngest truck driver in your fleet or whatever. So no, I think it's a big challenge. I think we all know that. It's, as already said, it's not a sexy job. Let's be very open and honest. Especially, I have 3 kids. I strongly believe none of them would like to become a truck driver. Even if what Jason already said, it's a very attractive job nowadays, also from a finance point of view. But we have a lot of great questions. I must say they're really amazing questions, but some of them are not going to the direction of the panel. So I would like to ask also our standards team to look at them and answer them, because some of them, as I said, should really be answered by the standards team. There's one question which I also really like is, so why should a carrier, or you, really go for a TAPA TSR certification?
Who would like to pick up on that? Kieran, how about you? Could you perhaps pass the microphone down?
You go first.
Be honest, no pressure. I killed for this.
If you want to have a standard in the industry, and you want to offer the best service for your customer, I would recommend going for a TAPA TSR level.
This is clearly a bottle of gin. That's a no-brainer. This is... You are from Ireland, you can kill it. I'm sorry. No.
Holger.
I think it's a matter of the quality approach of a company. So we see ourselves as a quality leader. We're a small company. Yeah, we cannot match with the big guys with 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 trucks. So we have to go for quality. We have to go for service, and we've done all that ISO certifications up and down. And actually, our TAPA TSR1 certification was driven by one of our customers from the pharmaceutical industry. So he, during the COVID pandemic, he simply told us, we have to do it, otherwise we would lose a certain amount of business. So that was absolutely customer-driven. But in the meantime, of course, we have seen that this has brought our quality again a bit further, and it is a standard that is known and recognized by potential customers. If you say we are TAPA TSR certified, they know exactly what we're talking about, yeah, because the TSR standards are ready for download from the TAPA set for everybody. You don't have to be a member, you can simply download, you can read, you can see what it is, and so everybody knows what you're talking about. So it is a certification, it is approved, and is known by those customers who are in these kinds of industry that are interested in it.
Jason.
All of that.
That was an amazing answer,
was
but it was too long. So that's max a bottle of beer. But the good news is you can already have it now.
So it is very comprehensive. It's been a blueprint for us over the last 13 years now. It opens a lot of doors commercially. But I think also, just following on, you've just made me think about something. We never get re-audited. Nobody comes and audits our security services because they trust TAPA TSR. It ticks all the boxes. About the same time as we first certified according to TSR, we also became GDP certified, which is a standard for the healthcare sector, and we're constantly being re-audited by healthcare companies. They don't seem to have the same level of trust in the GDP certification as they do in the TAPA TSR.
Can we move on to cybersecurity as well, because there were quite a few mentions of that at the beginning. Kodrat, you mentioned it as a big issue. Perhaps you could tell us where the challenges are for you.
Yeah, okay. I'm also handling IT high level in my company. So just to give you an example, weekly our email security solution blocks around 800 emails, and we are around 50 users. So that adds up around 3 emails per user per working day. Phishing attacks mostly, which are extremely dangerous, because if one of the users just inputs the login data from the Microsoft account, then the attacker can get access to our entire network. So in the end, if he's in, they can access anything, and because it's all about access in the end. I was recently at a national conference in Romania, and one of our insurers was speaking about in 2 weeks they had 25 cases of fake carriers, most of them impersonation through cyber attack, and 30 cases of carriers providing false insurances to their forwarders, also faked via cyber. So cyber is getting more and more important, because in the end we all use technology. So okay, what we did, we implemented ISO 27001, which is basically informational security. It's quite comprehensive. It is quite difficult to implement, but it's not for any company. So a small company, it's hard to get to that level. But TAPA has the cyber standard, which is a great place where you can start and build your security within the company. It's also the same as TSR. So the standards are the pillars of TAPA. So, and based on that, you can grow and improve your security regardless of what it is.
Harry, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, I agree. We're a small company, and years back we got asked to do some cyber security. So we looked at 27001. It was just too big for a company of our size. So the UK's got something called Cyber Essentials that we certify to. But obviously with the TAPA standard now, I'm definitely going to look at doing the TAPA standard alongside Cyber Essentials. So.
Would anyone else like to raise some of the cybersecurity, Kieran? Oh, I thought you were reaching for a microphone there. You're just reaching for the glass. You started the gin already. Torsten, what else have we got coming through?
Yeah, we don't have a question on cyber so far, but I think there's another question which is also quite interesting, because, of course, PSR is focused on security. But besides the security aspect, what do you require to use a secure parking? Which services which you wish? So what is for you also important beside the security on a parking place?
So we mentioned comfort earlier. Who would, Kodrat, did you want to add to that?
Driver comfort, that's it.
Driver comfort.
Jason, you look like you're reflecting.
Yeah, I want to know more about what the EU is going to come up with. What he was talking about this morning in terms of flexibility in driving restrictions, driving regulations. It sounded as if they would be relaxed if they relaxed and it allowed a driver to make it to the next secure place. That's how it sounded.
Yeah, this was quite interesting because I would like to say it's a kind of a statement what we forced him to do. Because this was in one of our first calls with him, we highlighted that to the European Commission, and we already highlighted that from day one. We even said it in SEPPOS, we said it in Label, and also SSDPA. We say give the drivers more flexibility. Because if the driver can reach a secured parking place within the next 15 minutes, 15, whatever, give him the 15 minutes. You know, and don't say, no, you need to stop. You know, there's no way that you have flexibility. And the good news now is that they listen. Yeah. That's the good news already. But of course, you know the European Commission, it will take a while. You know, I'm pretty sure on this one.
Yeah, but I like this safety first approach, so that a driver that's well rested and well fed and is feeling good in the morning is going to be safer on the road.
Yes, absolutely.
Didika, did you want to add anything to that about what else is required, or what we mean really by comfort? Because Jason, when I spoke to you earlier as well, you said that perhaps this is also a challenge in terms of getting females into the driver roles as well. Would you like to add anything, Didika?
Especially for the female drivers, we have them also in our company and coming more and more, and we like that. Like also the director is also females, but we like to have that they are safe. We have a very good IT system that cyber takes out. We never have attack till this moment, so. Yeah, we pay a lot of money to that IT company, but we see the effort from it.
And if you said you're getting more and more coming, how are you attracting more females to the role then? How are you achieving that?
We are doing that by advertising, but also speaking month to month. And was also, the female women are coming via the internet, and then we start a procedure how we can implement them and how they get the good behaviors, and they must also be making a test and so on and so on. But we have now at the moment 10 women drivers. So.
Very good. Torsten, well, I feel like I'm not sure how many questions there are.
Yeah, it's all good. You know, so if you could make a wish, what can shippers do more to ease your pressure or support you on the front lines? I know the answer. Give me more money.
Harry.
This one is not accepted. So when you have a wish towards a shipper, what would be the wish?
Harry, do you want to jump on that?
That they didn't quibble on the cost. That's the biggest wish. Don't compromise cost with quality, because quality does come at a cost. So I think that's very big, especially in what we do in pharmaceuticals. You can't cut corners. You need to implement everything correctly. And when there's people saying I can get it done cheaper, then from my perspective, I let them say get it done cheaper.
Kieran, Holger, you want to? Kieran afterwards as well?
I couldn't agree more on that. Coming back to the driver topic, let the drivers use your facilities. We have seen, we are still seeing that today, and we have seen that big time during, again, the COVID pandemic. From one day to the next, everything was shut down. The drivers weren't allowed to go anywhere. Yeah, neither in the parkings nor on the shippers or consignees facilities. Yeah, so again, it comes to the drivers. So make your facilities accessible and comfortable for the drivers.
Kieran, did you want to add something? And then I'm just going to ask a follow-up question a little bit on Holger. What other partnerships afterwards, for any of the panel, what other partnerships maybe could be potentially beneficial?
Just to load the drivers on time. You know, the shipper gives a booking time, the driver arrives at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. 4 or 5 hours later, he's still not loaded. There's 4 or 5 hours gone from his driving hours. The pressure's on then for making his journey, making secure parking. Price is always one that's, you know, we're being hit for our service, but yet they want the high standards. They want TAPA, they want everything, but they're not willing to pay for it. So they are challenges. But again, yes, and allow the driver to park on site. You know, there's a lot of shippers that say, yeah, okay, you're booked in at 9 o'clock, but you can't park there, or there's a delay with loading, come back in 4 hours. So those are things that will make driver comfort a lot better.
Does anybody want to pick up on my question about potential other partnerships that we've not discussed? Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit more about TAPA EMEA as well. And Jason, let me ask you first, as a grassroots business, what role do you think you could be playing with TAPA EMEA, and how can TAPA EMEA encourage more engagement and organisations like you to have a voice? And if anyone else wants to add to that afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to do more encouragement. It just needs to continue, not forget about us grassroots operators. As we heard this morning, we're essential to supply chains. Huge amount of expertise, skills, experience, just here between the 6 of us, but in our industry. We've got a lot to share. You know, we're part of this global TAPApedia, which I think everybody should tap into and take advantage of. So that's what I would say, really. And things like the TSR working group that you're on, this is essential, isn't it? It's always been one of the key elements of TAPA, that it's always engaged with its membership, and that's what keeps it grounded, but also what keeps it moving forward as well. So that's an essential element.
A final comment from anyone else on? No engagement? Well, in which case, let's bring this panel to an end, because it is nearly the end of the day, and I know that Torsten wanted to hand out some gifts and say thank you very much to you all for participating. Can you please join me in thanking our panel? Thank you.
Thank you.